Hi, welcome back to the Wired Banking series. And of course, today we'll be looking at loan management. And of course, if this is your first time of engaging Wired Banking or signing up in Wired Banking, and you have, and you're having difficulties in setting up your loan applications or loan system on your loan product. And of course, the first thing you need to do is not to navigate to the loan management. Of course, that's not the case. Hence, this is your first time, and the system need to complete your settings. The first thing you need to do rather is to navigate to the settings module, right? Of course, once you scroll down, you get to see a menu that's called settings. Hit on it and scroll a bit down, you'll see loan product. Of course, once you hit on loan product, give it a few seconds for it to load, right? And of course, you get to see the list of your product. But of course, if you do not have product, not to worry, we are going to be creating a new product right now. Okay, so basically what you want to do, at the top of the page, you get to see add product with a plus sign. Please go ahead and click on the plus sign, right? Then go ahead, provide the product name. I can say, okay, this is for students. Okay, I can say this is for student loan, right? Then I can say, okay, the student, I'm giving them loan on 7%. Of course, this is not an advice, right? Of course, you can decide to give whatever value. If it is 5% that works for you, as long as it works for you, please go ahead and follow. This is just a tutorial that walks you step by step on how you are going to carry out this setting successfully, right? And of course, once you've entered the product name, whatever name that suits you, right? If you want to include your business name, you can say, okay, if your business name is small, you can say, okay, small, right? Student loan, you can say small student loan, wherever, right? So of course you are the one to determine that. So on the interest model, please select the second option. So the second option, what it simply does for you, it times the interest it times the interest rather by the duration of time that the customer is applying, or that the student is applying for the loan, right? So of course, if the student is applying for 2 months, what simply applies this simply means, it simply means that each month, right? Month A, it's 5%. Month B is 5%. That's equivalent of 10% in total. Well, of course, if you are using the first option, what it simply means that even if it is 2 months, it's 5% that apply for the both months, right? Of course, whichever one that works for you, while buying currently support all that, right? Then the default amount is currently your minimum, same as your minimum amount, right? So I can say, okay, my default amount is 20,000. What this simply means is you cannot give customer less or lower than 20,000 naira, right? Or you cannot borrow lower than 20,000. Of course, same thing. This same as default, the same as the minimum default are same. The essence of the default is, even when you are booking the loan, even if you do not enter amount, as long as you've selected that product, the system will automatically assign 20,000 naira to that particular customer. If you forget to enter the exact amount, right? Of course, that is the essence of the default amount that the system should give to the customer. Of course, you can maintain the same minimum and the same maximum. So on the maximum, you can say, okay, the maximum amount is 200,000, 500,000 or 300,000, depending on how much that works for you, right? So I can say, okay, it's 300,000, and that is the maximum amount. So of course, people on this, or the customers that are requesting for loan, as long as you've selected this particular product, the system won't allow you to go ahead and give them above that. So of course, if you enter 101 kobo, the system will definitely reject it, right? So it must be between 20,000 naira and 300,000 naira, because that simply works for you. So on the management charges or fees, it's strongly recommend that you do not set this. Please do not set them, right? So the most important thing is the name, the interest, the minimum, and the maximum, right? Of course, we are going to come back to why I say you shouldn't set it, because There might be a case where you want to apply charges on customer A and do not want to apply on customer B. Of course, applying the loan fees here simply means that it has to be compulsory on all customers. So of course, for us to be able to specify the exact customer which loan should apply to, or which loan fee should apply to or not, it's highly recommended that you leave them the way they are. Do not apply, right? So of course, leave everything the way they are, exactly the way they are. Go ahead and save, right? So go ahead and save. So remember what I said. I said the name, the interest, the repayment model, which the default amount, the minimum and the maximum. That is the only thing that you requested. Please allow everything the way they are and go ahead. And of course, your product will be created successfully. Then the next option that we are going to be working on is on the loan management. Of course, I'll go to the loan management and I'll click on the settings. Of course, the first setting works with the mobile app. Right, so it works with the mobile app. We have a mobile app that's called Low Wallet, which of course can be customizable on your business name to bear your business name and to also bear your logo, right? So of course, in a case where you want to allow your customer to be applying for loan, or you want them to be requesting for loan from the app, right? It's highly recommended that you set a limit to not just a customer that load your app and want to request for loan immediately. You want to see the performance of these customers if they have intention of using your app for other activities or just for basically loan. Of course, there's no restriction. You can decide to say, okay, I just want to be giving them loan whether they've performed transaction on me or not. But of course, to limit the number of people, to say, okay, it's only active customer that can request for loan. Of course, that's the main reason why we created a new setting that's called eligibility settings, right? So on the eligibility, you click on loan settings, go ahead and hit on it, then select the one that you created, which is the small loan, student loan, which is the one we just created. Then of course you can select a flash rate, then consider, okay, I want to give them loan for 1 month, for example, right? And they have to pay on daily basics, right? And before you have before you will qualify for loan, that's the right word. Before you will qualify for loan while using the mobile app, you must have performed transaction of the minimum of 5,000 naira, right? And the maximum of this is for what's it called? This is for the loan amount, right? The loan amount they are requesting for. So the minimum amount they can request for, right, is 5,000 naira and the maximum amount of 20,000 naira. So of course the customer is able to request for between 5,000 naira and 20,000. You can decide to make it 1 million. Of course, it's totally on you. The minimum and the maximum are the amount, the loan amount that they should request or they can qualify for, right? So before they qualify for, which is the minimum transaction, they might have performed transaction worth 10,000 naira or 20,000 or 50,000 naira. So if customer have performed transaction worth 50,000 naira and between 300 or 500,000 naira. So of course I can just make it 200,000 naira. If they perform transaction worth buy airtime, buy data, money coming in and going out, they have saved with you and so on and so forth. Of course, if they have performed transaction in total, all their transaction is worth 50 to 200,000 and they are qualified for this loan, and they must have a balance. As at the time they are booking this loan, they must have a balance between the minimum of 2,000 naira. You can decide to leave it zero, right? So between 2,000 naira and 10,000 naira. So their current balance as at the time of booking this loan was 2,000 naira and 10,000 naira. On the active, so of course if they request for loan and you've approved it and they have an active loan running, can they apply for a new loan? Right, let's say they apply for 1 month and they have been faithful in applying, or even if they are not faithful, as long as they have an active loan already, do you want them to be able to request for a new loan, or they have to complete the one that they are doing? Of course, if you want to allow them apply for a new loan, of course it still come for approval, right? You can decide to allow them. So if you want to allow them, how many loan can they apply? right? So you can decide to say it's only one they can apply. You can decide to say they can apply one, rather. You can decide to say they can apply two. Of course, if they apply two, if you say it's two, simply means even if the loan is active, they've not completed the other one, they can apply for another, right? But of course, if you leave it at one, except they complete the other before they can apply for a new one, of course that works. So the remark is the narration for that particular loan, which they will see on the mobile app. They'll say, please, I can we can actually write anything. One can just say, please, ensure you borrow what you can comfortable payback. Okay, so what's wrong with this keyboard? So of course you can actually write whatever that works for you, right? So of course, once you are done with your settings, then you go ahead and click on save, right? So you click on save. That's the important thing. But of course, once you have done, it saves for you automatically. And of course, you can always come back and edit it by clicking on action, hit on edit, and you're able to edit the loan, right? Of course, that's all on the loan eligibility part. Like I say, loan eligibility part is totally optional. So of course, if you do not want your customers to download the loan app, or you do not have a customized app for them to be able to request for loan, there is no need for you to set them up, right? So of course, the next is for you to book loan properly, right? So of course, we have the loan lookup, which we already have videos that talked about this. So the loan lookup simply allow you to check the customer data through Credit Blue, Blacklist, First Central, and so on. Of course, to know if the customer is qualified for the loan, or the customer has applied for loan elsewhere and you want to already apply from your own again. Possibly it's those customers that are like jumping from one place to other to collect money with no intention of paying back. Of course, you're able to retrieve those information to the time. Of course, that's what loan lookup does. We have videos that talked about that. We also have a video that talked about the guarantor, but of course I will just chip in a bit also on the guarantor. So of course, the guarantor, if the customer already have a guarantor or submitted a guarantor for you, all you just need to do is to select the customer and provide all the guarantor information. Of course, if the guarantor has existed on our system previously, right, so the system will let you know, okay, the guarantor is currently in use on our system across all the businesses using our product globally, right? Because that's basically it. And another thing that we've done also, we notify the guarantor, not just with the information you provide to us, we notify him that customer with such name want to use him to request for payment if he is aware. Of course, if he's aware, he can be able to acknowledge the payment from wherever he is. Well, of course, we are sending him a link, and also a link for acknowledgement via email and SMS. Of course, he can easily do that. Right, so of course you can request for the video that talked about that specifically, but of course we'll be focusing on more of the loan, the booking of the loan, and also the schedule, so that we can manage our timing. Right, so of course jumping into the book loan option. So of course the book loan option simply allows you or your staff to be able to book the loan on behalf of customer. Like as the previous one I say, is the customer that is booking the loan by themselves via the app, but right now at this time it is you that is booking the loan for the customer. So of course is to select. So the first ID is the ID of the loan, right? You can customize it, but it's totally optional. You can just leave it the way it is. You don't need to do anything with the loan ref ID, right? So just leave it, select the customer, which is the required aspect, then select the branch, right? So of course if you have multiple branches elsewhere, of course you can select whichever branches that the customer is under, or that you want to follow up on the loan. Then assign one of your staff to follow up as the loan officer. Then the next is the loan product, right? So you can select whatever product that you have created so far. I want to use this small student loan, right? Then you can just go ahead. So of course on the student loan, if you remember, we created the minimum of 20,000 naira thereabout. So of course if I decide to say, okay, I want to borrow 2,000 naira within this duration, right? Okay, so that there are a few things which you need to pay attention here, right? those few things you need to pay attention. Number one is the principal amount. Definitely, it won't allow me to book this 2,000 naira, but we'll come back to that, right? Then you can now select the duration. Right, so if it is for 1 month, you can go ahead and say it's for 1 month. If it is for 2 months, you can go and say this customer is booking for 2 months, for 3 months, right? And I want you to repay back daily, or I want you to be repay back weekly. So the customer will be scheduled for weekly repayment. Like, so of course, if you remember vividly, I said while creating the product, you shouldn't set the loan fee, right? So of course, once you set it there, you have to replicate the same charges for the customer here, right? Which will around that in a case where you do not want to charge some specific customer, or you want to give a discount on the charge for the loan, it will definitely affect this model, right? So of course, that's the main reason why we totally recommend that you leave the other charges blank or leave them empty, so that it will make the loan mandatory, right? So option one is, if I want to go ahead and proceed with the submission. So you can see the minimum, the principal amount is lower than the minimum amount for this particular product, of course, which we have set the minimum amount to be 20,000. Of course, this will fly, right? And of course, you can also see that the value that was here is 0. Of course, if I decide to say, okay, I want to charge 1% as my fee, this will also work for me successfully. Of course, if you already have a guarantor, for this particular customer, you can go ahead and select one you use. Then of course the guarantor will display here. Hence, you do not have one, it's totally optional. Please leave it the way they are. Of course, on the repayment model, which is the payment model, is how the customer is expected to repay back the loan, right? Do you want them to repay back by cash, or do you want them by cash? Simply means manually. This simply applies that your staff has to go to them to collect physical cash, or they have to come to your office, give you physical cash, or alternatively they transfer to your commercial banks, whatever bank you are using, and you'll come ahead and acknowledge it on the system that they give you physical cash. Of course, all that are under manual credit loan or manual repayment. Of course, we have the automatic part, which is the two type. We have the direct debit, which include direct debit remitter, direct debit names, right, which allows you to debit rather from remitter or from the customer commercial banks. So we can talk about this because hence we have videos. You can just basically request for the direct debit videos, and of course we'll go ahead and share that with you, right? So of course, on this case, I'm going to select the automatic part, then go ahead and enter your remark, the main reason why you are giving this particular person loan. He possibly can say he is qualified, right? So of course you can do write whatever, but the remark is totally optional. Of course, once you've done that, every other checks is in place, the system will go ahead and create a schedule for you on how the customer is expected to pay and how many weeks it will take. The system will just go ahead and break it down for you. Okay, so the customer is expected to pay for 12 weeks, and which is equivalent of the 3 months, and this is the expected amount that the customer is expected to pay, which is 23,000. Totally on you, right, to determine all that, right? So of course, if this does not work for you, you can go previously, adjust the value, the fees, and so on, right? Then once this is done, you go ahead and submit. But of course, if you're having difficulties on your loan principal and the amount, the charges, or the interest, please do let us know. It's possible that you mistakenly selected the wrong figures or a wrong settings that is making the loan amount not be accurate or not match your requirements. But do let us know. Of course, it's something we're able to customize or be able to check your setting properly to ensure that it matches your operations. So of course, that's basically how to book for loan. And basically, as you book for loan, the next place that you should go, hence you book for a loan, does not mean that the loan is a success, right? It has 2 more steps to pass through. It has to pass through approval. So the next thing you need to do is to come to pending loan, right? Loan pending. So upon the loan pending, you get to see the loan that was booked. Likewise, all your customer, whichever of them that booked the loan, whether your staff, all of them come under pending loan, which of course is awaiting approval for you to review it. So in case where you want to modify or make changes to the value they have they have submitted, right? Whether it's you and you have another level person that have permission to approve basically loans, right? Of course, this mode simply works for you. So you can assign approval of loan to another different person who of course can review what was submitted and go ahead if it works and approve. See the schedule also and select approval and go on, right? So these options automatically push an SMS alert to the customer, letting him know that the loan has been fully approved, right? But in as much as the loan has been approved, this does not mean that the money has been released yet to the customer. So of course we have the final part, which is the disbursement part, for you to know now disburse the money or give the money to the customer. So disbursement simply means you giving the money to the customer. So the approval is you acknowledging, yes, this customer has passed through verification, has passed through request and passed through approval. Now you are ready to give him money, right? Of course that works for that part, right? So so the last one is our, which the small student loan, that's ours. So go ahead and click on view, then select the date. So of course if you want the loan to start counting immediately, you select the set date. But of course if you want the loan to start counting tomorrow, you can select, of course, repeat the same thing if you want the loan to start counting tomorrow. But of course in a case where you want to extend the loan, possibly you want to give them 1 more week and so on and so forth. Of course, this same apply that you can also backdate your loan, right? So of course that works. Then on the disbursement part, how do you want to give this customer money? Do you want to give him cash, or you want to credit his savings account so that he can move the money out by himself, right? So of course if it's a savings account, you can select the first one, or cash rather. You want to give him fiscal cash, you can select the first one. If you also want to transfer to his commercial bank directly from your own bank, commercial bank, you also select cash. That applies same. Of course, if you want to credit his savings account, you can select account, or you can select wallet rather. So it gives you the list of his savings account that he has with you, and you can go ahead and disburse the money into the savings account. Oh, okay. The savings account is not approved yet. Okay, so I can go ahead and do by cash. So I'll just leave it by cash. So, and of course the process is done. So that's basically it. Then the final stage of the loan, because of our timing, you go to the ongoing loan. Right, so on the ongoing loan, you get to see the list of all the approved loan, right? So of course, as many of the approved loan you have, you can see them all here, right? So then you can go ahead and click on pay loan. So of course on the pay loan, once it's open, you get to see the schedule, and of course let me guide you on how you can